A very warm and special welcome to a special day. That's right, welcome to yet another major. It is the 11th Valve Dota 2 event and the 5th Dota 2 major. Who's going to be crowned champion, we'll find out at the end of the week. Long way to go before we get there, but welcome to our first day of group stages. We've got plenty to talk about, plenty of previews to come, and the first matches of the group stages are just moments away before we get there, though. Let's fill you in exactly how the Kiev major is going to kick off. We'll start with our 16 teams, 8 of course invited through, previous champions including OG in there as well, also former champion of the major system coming through, the qualifiers, Secret coming through from a very tough EU area. 2 from China, 2 from Southeast Asia, and 1 each from North and South America, 1 from Europe, and 1 for the first time from the CIS region as well. Very different tournament structure this year as well. As we move into our first major of 2017, we're going to be starting things off with the group stages today and tomorrow. 4 rounds, best of 3 in the group stages, but this time round it is Swiss-style groups. We'll talk about that a little bit more detailed later on today. Round 1 matches are going to be seeded. From then on, however, it will be those teams with the similar records that will play each other. We'll then move into the knockout stages for the main event for the last 4 days. Live from the National Arts Palace in Kiev for the round of 16 quarterfinals, semi-finals and grand final, best of 5. Of course, you've come to know the prize pool. It's no different. It's $3 million. $1 million going to first place, 500,000 for second, 250,000 for third. It also represents a historic weekend where esports as a whole passes $300 million in prize money. We're almost there for $100 million in Dota 2 as well. $99 million will have been given away after the Kiev major, a record in esports. Today's schedule is a busy one. We have 4 sets of best of 3s to come. On the mainstream, we'll have 4 matches here. We'll start things off with Team Secret versus Team VG.J. We'll get into that one in just a moment with our panel. Liquid versus Thunderbirds will follow. And then, of course, we need to reseed all of the teams. So we'll find out who we cover here on the mainstream. That's on /Dota 2 Major, of course. We've also got 3 other streams that you can follow. Dota 2 Major 2, IG Vitality going head-to-head with Mouse Sports, the former Ad Finum team, of course. Faceless will take on the CIS champions Virtus Pro. Over on Dota Major 3, also on twitch.tv/, of course, our Team Random, formerly known as the TI champions from TI6 Wings Gaming. They take on IG Vitality. Digital Chaos, not the original DC that you know and love, but a different DC, will take on former TI champions Newbie. And on our final 4th stream, you'll be able to see the reigning champions, the 3-time major champions OG, go head-to-head with SG Esports from Brazil, the first ever Brazilian team playing at a Valve major. Evil Geniuses will take on TNC. So that's what we've got planned for you. 4 sets of matches today, lots of things going on, and we thought we'd bring along 3 top professionals to help kick off the show. Unfortunately, we could only find Owie. Good morning, gents.
Wow. After our bonding dinner last night, you just really give us that low blow?
But the dinner didn't really go too well, guys, let's face it. It didn't go well for Fogged.
Not our fault.
No.
How
are things, everyone? Okay? Sidwin, it's
right.
great to have you back, by the way.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you here.
Wish it was mutual, but yeah.
The banter has started early. Owie, what are you looking forward to over the next 7 days?
To be honest, I'm just looking forward to watching some good Dota.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Seeing how the meta changes as it goes through?
Yeah, this patch is very exciting. You get to play against some Treants, some Monkey Kings. Exciting stuff.
Some Naga.
Some Naga. Hopefully not Alchemist.
See, I'm with you on that one. I'm with you on that one. Well, hopefully not, but we've seen a few bits and pieces. Who starts off with the favourites? Who are the dark horses here?
I would say favorite IG, right?
Yeah.
IG probably for sure.
Just because of the way they played at DAC?
Yeah, the way they played at DAC, and then before that as well, they've just been kind of crushing the Chinese scene in like DPL all across the board. They've been probably the most dominant, and they're kind of like the dictators of the way the patch is going. I mean, maybe not all of them, but Baboka in general, he's like the roaming god. He's like ruining pubs for everybody as well. That's just what they're doing. And then, at least for me, I would say my dark horse coming into this one would be TNC.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited to see how they come out after, like, since they don't really get the chance to play versus too many other teams outside of the SCA region. I want to see how it like comes out here. They're a very aggressive team. I think this patch works really well for that and for them. So
interesting. Okay, we're going to move into our first game of the day. As we've said already, it's Secret versus VG.J. So let's kick off with Team Secret. They're my personal dark horses, Cinder, and I don't know if you agree with that. It seems weird talking about Secret as a dark horse for tournaments, but we have to in a way now because they're no longer the big favourites that they used to be.
Yeah, I could agree with them being a dark horse. I think, like, going into this tournament, it's very interesting how people have completely different expectations. Maybe there's a slight agreement among who the favorites are, but beyond that, some people would pick a team like Secret to finish bottom 8. I personally think they're a good contestant to even make top 4. At least top 8 is where I would expect them. So I'm in agreement with dark horse for them to maybe even go all the way. We have, like you said, seen Secret have great results in the past, so could happen.
They are the only team other than OG, Aoi, to win a major outside of the TIs. That has to count for something, surely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Secret, they have, what do you have? Mid 1's the highest MMR in the world right now.
9.4K,
Yep.
I think.
9.4.
Poppy, who anyone will put in their most decorated, like, pretty much everyone wants to play with Poppy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, except maybe Eternal Envy.
Really?
Too soon? Too soon?
Maybe. But anyway, Secret's definitely a dark horse coming in. They haven't played games in a while, so I'm excited to see what they have to show. They went through an incredibly difficult European qualifier, and they crushed it.
Oh, yeah.
Dropped one game.
Dropped one game. That's all they did.
There was Bears, there was Alliance,
Yeah.
there was Cloud9. These are teams that they can take games off any team right now, and Secret made it look easy.
Yeah, they did in terms of the way that they came through. Let's take a look at VG.J as well. Now, this is an interesting team. On paper, Fold, you'd look at this and go, this is an all-star Chinese team, full of names that we've known for many years, successful players, players of high repute, great supports. The duo is just legendary. So surely these guys should be amongst the favourites for this, but I don't see them in that reign from many people.
They've definitely been struggling as of late. We did see them at their top peak form in Starlighter a couple weeks ago and everything, and they were looking really great. Like, their teamwork, everything was working out very good for them. Their duo supports is probably one of the best duo supports still out there. But lately, it just seems like they've been falling a bit short, just maybe lack of variety in their drafts, just a couple different things not really working out for them.
What do you make of it, Sinun?
I think VG.J is the type of team that will rise to the occasion for something like this. I have at least top 8 for them as well. And again, that's one of those borderline teams maybe right now where people are like, can they make it or not? Of course, it comes down to one best of 3 matchups once the Swiss system is over, that you just need to win your first one to make top 8, so it's one best of 3. But like you said, the caliber of players that they have and what we saw from them in Starladder gives me the hope that they will perform very well in this. And I definitely say top 8 for them, and maybe even top 4 as well.
Okay. So in terms of the way that they match up against each other, it's a very interesting matchup, isn't it? I want to highlight one in particular. Which, let's take mid. I think mid is the obvious place to talk about this. Fold, how do you see these two players in both camps in the way that they not only match up together, but how important they are to their individual teams?
I'd say that mid one is probably a bit more integral than Freeze. I think Freeze has some of his games where he maybe is a bit inconsistent, I would say, while mid one, I think, performs at like his maximum pretty much every single time. I don't think I've really seen him have a very poor game, while Freeze has had a couple where he does struggle a little bit, while like the supports and everything make up for that. Well, I guess, for Secret, it's just like, okay, mid one is just kind of like dominate, and then we work off of that and we work the stride.
Because it's a parallel universe in a way. So you've got one guy who's massively experienced, has been there, has been to big events before, fits into a team with Papi, has that behind him, and then you've got Freeze, who is in amongst like legendary players, but is very new to the team.
Yeah, I don't know how much that experience comes into play. And like the mid lane is a little bit special in that sense, where it's so much more about your individual. Just in terms of the lane play, I see Frieza and mid one face up fairly evenly, and it's more about how the teams are structured around them in the game. I think it more comes down to the support rotations that will really have an impact on this lane. That said, though, I'm glad you brought up mid one, because going into this tournament, I feel like he's one of the people that isn't talked about enough. I think that guy is extremely good, and whenever people bring up exceptional mid laners, they will generally look at the teams that have success and be like, Sumail has had some extremely good games. We've seen OG with Ana have great games as well, but mid one, I think, in terms of individual potential, is up there with the top 5 in the world on his respective role, and if the team can allow him to shine in the games, we will see Secret take this Swiss format by storm, maybe even.
And his versatility. This guy plays like anything. They really can put him on almost any hero. Like in pubs, this guy randoms, and he's 9 point. Like he runs him a lot.
He
of
has
things.
9K with CM, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to add to what Synderen said, I think VG.J actually play Freeze as more of a hard 2, and Secret actually play mid 1 as their 1 position. He has 100 more GPM than MP on average. They give everything to him. He's playing these right clickers, he's playing these Shadow Fiends. Freeze is playing these like Tinkers and Linas and Magical Cores mid. So the comparison's a bit hard, but mid 1 it's hard to count that guy out. He's so good. If you get him in a pub, you feel good.
Oh yeah.
That's my metric for players. Like if I get someone in a pub,
Except
I'm
when
like,
Fog plays with him, because
We
Fog
had to
carried him.
Fog carried.
I didn't
Carried him.
I think. Well, he
Was it-
One game.
Was it easy?
I was feeding.
Yeah, it was the wrong score. On the wrong side of the score, but
Yeah.
nevertheless. As we head into the draft, we followed the meta, obviously, through the Kiev Majors qualifiers and through DAC. They were fairly similar, it has to be said, and we saw the sort of evolution of that meta through DAC. Are you expecting many changes now we've had another patch?
I don't think like a crazy amount of changes. We're just going to see a couple like new heroes popping
Small
in.
tweaks.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean Tree. I
Yeah.
think Queen of Pain is one of those that we were kind of like talking about too. It's gotten some buffs. Maybe we'll see it gain some popularity. What was the other big ones? I think like there's the hero that hasn't really gotten changed at all, but Secret really heavily favors it. It's the Wisp.
Yeah.
So I think that one might come back into fruition.
There's
DAC we didn't see
few
much.
teams that
Yeah.
like the Wisp, but it got banned a lot against specific teams, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think OG, for instance, weren't allowed to play Invoker or Wisp. That's the two that were taken away from them. So, yeah, it's very interesting how it's going to pan out. In terms of the way that these two match up as well, do you think that the Druid might come back into favour? I know it was really favoured a lot by MP on Secret through different parts of the early part of 7.0. Fallen out of favour, though, since.
I don't like Lone Druid. He's one of my favorite heroes. I tried very hard to make him work after the Rabid Merce. He's just so slow now.
Right.
I wish we could see him though.
Yeah.
As far as like the thing about this meta that I think will happen is actually there's a lot of introduction of heroes like Treant who make these aggro tri-lanes just very strong. And you're going to have to see safe laners who can handle these aggro tri-lanes. I think that's why Fogg was alluding to the Queen of Pain.
Right.
These heroes that, you know, you can stand there, you can kill them if they try to aggro you.
Sinrid, what do you
Yeah.
make of this 7.05?
Well, as far as Lone Druid goes, I agree. I don't know if you can put like a number on how much slower he is, but it feels like in the games his impact is delayed by several minutes at the very least. So if, in my opinion, if we get to see Lone Druid, I would like to see it being played with the good old bear build where you focus around the bear more. Because if you run a hero like Lone Druid, I think you need to play to the hero's strengths, which is that spike he gets around that timing. The past ranged build with Lone Druid, when that was introduced, the reason that was so strong was that you hit your spike really early as a carry, and then it kept scaling throughout.
Right.
But with that spike being delayed, the build is just way less viable, whereas the bear build still has its strengths with being able to get the Radiance, push the towers, take Roshan, and then control the map that way. So that's probably what we're going to see.
If
But
we
do see it.
if we
If we
see
see
it at all.
low.
I mean, I think we saw 2 games at DAC.
Yeah, OG picked it. The funny thing with that one too is we were like talking with Noto, and he's like, "I don't like Lone Druid. I think it's a dead hero." And
Then
then
ends up
later
having
that
to play
day,
it.
it's like Lone Druid last pick, and he was just like, "All right."
Yep, it was dead.
He's like, "Yep, confirmed."
Treant is my wild card going into this tournament. When I was doing predictions and I was like, what's going to be the most picked and most banned hero?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, most picked will probably be a support because generally cores are being prioritized. And I was like, I'm going to choose Rubik, but I think Treant could be one of them. And I was like, well, maybe it makes a splash, or maybe it's banned a lot, and then it won't get picked.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
talk about predictions. Have you done your fantasy team?
no, I have not.
Has
I've
anyone
done
done their
predictions.
fantasy?
No.
I have not.
I just did my predictions.
You slackers!
I got my predictions in this morning.
You get
I actually forgot to open my
early.
I forgot to open my card packs.
Really?
Yeah, maybe I should open my card
That's
packs.
bad. I'm
don't think I opened
very
mine
happy
either.
with my fantasy team. Super happy. I have Miracle and Anna.
You
with a gold
definitely
and
have
a
the best
silver
team on
card.
this desk right now.
I definitely have the best team. Undoubtedly the best fantasy team out of all of you. In terms of predictions, let's talk about who will be the most picked hero.
I had it stuck between like Rubik and Crystal Maiden, at least for the most
So
picked.
you've gone for supports, which would make sense. Do you want to know the most picked and banned hero since 7.0? In fact, do you want to know the most picked and banned in the Kiev Major
Like-
qualifiers and DAC together?
Pick
Most
ban
picked.
combined,
Yeah, pick
or
ban combined.
okay.
What do you reckon it was?
Was that which patch was that? 7.03.
It's 0304. Yeah. I think Owie knows.
You may have mentioned it to me.
I
though.
may have we may have done some stat prep stuff. It's actually Centaur.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes some
And
sense.
by
yeah.
quite some distance as well. Up into I think it was 268 times it's been picked out of 340 games. picked or banned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that
which
makes
is
sense. I mean,
Extraordinary.
the hero was
And I think
pretty
the
ridiculous.
unpicked and unbanned ones are all at the end.
Yeah.
I'm going to say for the first 250 games, he was picked and banned every game.
Yeah.
So
Pretty much. Yeah, I think it was only lately it was probably not. So you would expect it. I mean, and when you look at all the teams, there are 15 of the 16 teams that have a player that plays centre on a regular basis. So in theory, he should still get played, right?
How much did he get nerfed? It was only the Ags Stampede?
20% of
Nothing
eggs.
else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
he
still
should still
think
get
it's pretty
picked.
good.
Yeah.
I mean, he still has a 2-second stun. He still has at level 1. He still has like high disable, high burst, but you don't get the damage reduction.
I think the one thing is his
as much.
Did anything happen to his laning? I know he's felt a lot worse in these 1v1s, but I don't know if that's because people are just picking stronger heroes in the 1v1.
Maybe
So like
countering.
legions,
Yeah.
maybe some Timbersaws that beat him in the 1v1.
Yep.
But
Yeah, there's
Oh.
been definitely a lot more Legion picks, especially at DAC as well.
Legion is the scary hero.
Legion is going to, I think that's going to be one of the ones that just starts coming out a lot
Yeah.
more prominent. And
You
I mean,
think
he's just so
we see that
dominant.
increase through the tournament?
I think so. At least at DAC, he had what, like a 70-something% win rate across more than like 10 to 15 games, something like that. And he's just so dominant in the laning phase. A lot of people are picking these like lots of like melee cores and everything, melee lanes. That hero dominates with lane. You get over like triple hero overwhelming odds, turn everything completely.
Do you think the offlane is where we'll see some changes in draft, Syndrome? Because it seems like the carry position, they're fairly settled on what they want. They kind of know what they want. Teams know what they want. They know what to ban. So we end up with this sort of 5 to 7 hero meta around the carry. Mid's similar in terms of it depends what the other team have picked and what they've got and what's counted. So it seems like the offlane is where you can be a bit more creative.
Yeah, I especially think if we're talking on the topic of a hero, like the archetype that Legion Commander is, just a stat-heavy offlaner that does a lot in lane early on. If we're starting to see these teams try to play more aggressively, like AUI pointed out, if you start trying to play aggro tri-lanes or maybe even just aggro dual lanes more often, then heroes like Legion Commander will fit perfectly into that role. Like, what tri-lane wants to play against Legion Commander Tree, for example? That
Yeah,
lane
it's
is a nightmare to face for any dual support, really. So if you can put pressure in that way, maybe that could be a way to integrate the Wisp as well. Great with Legion Commander, a dual offlane that we could see from a team like Secret. Kezu loves to play the Legion Commander as well. So, yeah, I would say right now, probably going into this tournament, the offlane and the support roles have the highest variety of viable picks, probably. The alternative, of course, is still to run something like a Clockwork that was also buffed and can stand alone and guarantee to get experience and be disruptive. Maybe we'll see Nature's Prophet as well make a comeback. The good old, I think the Alliance-style Furion is actually a really good way of playing it, where you just disrupt pulls with the Treants and try to keep the supports underleveled and make space in that way. So, I don't. I mean, I'm spitballing heroes, right? Because I feel like there's so many options
But
right
that's the
now
point,
going
isn't
in.
it? That's why there's so many viable
Yeah.
right now. In terms of supports, do we expect the same style of play? We saw a lot of roaming support play. Monkey King, Spirit, very good for that. Even a little bit of Tusk thrown in now and again as well. Do you expect that sort of support meta to continue here?
For the fours, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably just, the same thing. I think it'll be maybe a little bit hero specific for some players, like the Ricky. I think like Baboka is probably like the one like specialist for that one. But as for like Monkey King, Tree, like those, I think those are going to be, and Earth Spirit as well. I think those will still be the similarities that we have seen in the past.
See anything else coming through?
There were a bit of small nerfs to the roamers.
Yeah.
I think Baboka was a bit too good, you know. Had to get a bit nerfed.
They actually nerfed Baboka. That's what they actually did.
That's what they tried to do. I don't think it worked. But I think what we'll see actually is both supports wanting to pressure a lane together. And then because of these small little nerfs, you actually have to bring in additional damage, or like maybe the Monkey King jumps on mid and your CM TP's in, instead of just Monkey King just solo killing everyone. And I think we'll see a lot more of that.
That never happened. Much. As you can see, the players are just getting ready, waiting for players to join the lobby right now. A quick reminder for you as well, for those of you tuning in early, thank you for tuning in early as well. There is a thread up on Reddit. You can post your questions in there, and we'll try and do our best to get at panels to answer those questions throughout the day. So do remember that one's over on reddit.com as well. We'll do that a little bit later on. We should talk about Swiss. We haven't talked about Swiss just yet. It is new. I'm not talking about the cheese right now, so you know, chill out.
Whoops.
Swiss format, very different approach to Dota. I've experienced it before with CSGO. It's worked very well in Counter-Strike. Don't see any reason why it shouldn't work well in Dota 2, but it is different. What are your early thoughts on it?
personally, I think it'll be like cool for like the viewers and everything, because I think like anytime that they switch the formats up, it's always great for the viewership. But I think at least for the players, I think it's a lot more difficult. I think it makes it a lot harder for them to like prep. They have to have everything kind of in advance. They have to be ready for every single team, and rather than being like, hey, we're gonna, we kind of know who we're gonna play against next. Now it's like we have no idea. We have to have it ready, and you have very little prep time.
Yeah, doesn't that put more pressure on coaches?
I think it could put more pressure on coaches.
Because they're going to have to look. Surely they're going to have to look at all 15 teams as equally as each one, rather than preparing, say, for
the coach is going to have to keep those notes very updated because you don't know who you're going to play.
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing of a Swiss format. You have 10 minutes to prep for a team. These are scary teams, and every single team at this tournament will probably have some individual cheese strat that you also have to prep for.
Right.
So coaches will definitely help into this event.
How do you you've played in these tournaments recently enough? So how do you cope with that level of stress, knowing that these teams have got little pocket strats that they can spring on you at any moment? Are you thinking about that in the back of your head before you go into the game?
I think the most important thing, and it's been in a while in Dota, is your own execution, your own strategy. Kind of lately, at least, I would say over the last year, kind of trumps what other teams are doing. Of course, you're not going in blind against your opponent and just saying, okay, they can get whatever they want. We don't care. We're good with our stuff. But I would say, honestly, going into matchups, 80% of the game is you, and the last 20% of your prep should be on the opponent. Like, you need to find out what is our style, what is our play, what is important for our drafts. And then if the opposing team has something really key against you, you can ban that out. You will see across matchups that, for example, you could have a team that has been... Let's say there's a team that VG.J has been banned against for like 8 games straight, and then suddenly a team will let it through. The reason they're letting it through is not that they think the enemy team can't play it well enough or whatever, but it's like our style doesn't really care that much about VG.J, so we will let that through even though every other team respects it. That to me is the way to go about it. The different thing with this Swiss format compared to, say, round robin that we've had in the past is that the matchups are best of 3s. So if we had a big round robin where everyone was playing each other once in best of 1s, there's more chance of like upsets or, as AUI pointed out, like cheese strategies winning. But this time you need to win out a best of 3 every time you want to win. So you can't just go in and have that one pocket strategy and expect, all right, this is going to be our game, and then we're good to go for our next matchup. So I think that's the big challenge, is how many best of 3s there are. But I'm sure most people are a big fan of best of 3 in Dota in general for that reason, because the cheese factor is limited more. So.
Well, it also stops a large slice of the luck coming through, doesn't it? If you have a bad game, and there are several teams in this pool who don't start necessarily particularly fast.
First game of the day.
EG being one of those teams that we talked to PBD about at DAC. They do start slowly on day one. And do you feel there's any teams in here that could benefit from Swiss or actually get hurt by Swiss?
I mean,
or do you think the best of 3 saves it? And if it was best of 1 Swiss, then teams could definitely get hurt.
When Sin was explaining it too, like with the whole best of 3 thing, when you really think about it, I actually think it could be okay for like a lot of the teams. I think just because you have to, you have to win a full best of 3. There's no way like to cheese. You get to learn. You get to develop through the series rather than just take 2 games. So I think it could. I don't know if specifically though. I'm not sure. Like maybe the teams that's been playing the most. That's the ones it'll be the ones that for the best advantage, and the teams that are playing the least, it'll be the least advantage.
So like strong teams benefit from this, don't they?
So one thing about Swiss format is you only play 3 other teams. There have been tournaments that have had metas completely dominated by one strategy. You can look at TI5. Everyone copied C-Deck. Being in Group B made you place like 3 spots higher at the end of the tournament.
Right.
Like we're on EG, like us playing C-Deck helped us win that tournament by far. That was the biggest thing, learning from C-Deck. So when you play Swiss format, if you play the wrong 3 teams, you may not learn as much as a team that, say, got to play like OG and some other teams that they'll take a lot from. That's the one thing I'm worried about with this format.
No. The one thing?
Well, the other things I'm like more excited for, I know they're sort of like
Is
unknown.
it different now? You're sitting on this side of the desk and not having to play in the booth. So can you enjoy the tournament more now?
I can enjoy the format more because as a player, I would love to play every team as a player.
Yes.
Because I think that when I get to play more teams, I get to learn more.
Right.
I mean, I guess they get to learn more too, but I hope I get to learn more than.
Does it also come down to fairness as well, though? Does it feel more fair to you as a player when you play all of the teams and then you go through?
I mean, the thing about Swiss format is like matching up against OG is actually like a good thing.
Right.
You get to play what most people or IG. You get to play.
It's risk-free. It's a risk-free best of 3 against the best team
in
the world.
You get to learn the most from them at the start, and it's not like playing them first makes you do worse in the groups. If you were supposed to beat them, you will beat them, I guess. and you'll have to play the better teams.
Yeah. So do you think it's okay for the Brazilians to come in here, having never played at a major, never played at a Valve tournament, the first match they get is a best of 3 against OG? Do you think that's actually good, beneficial for them?
If I was I'd be terrified, but hopefully,
Yeah.
I'd realize that this is the best possible outcome for me, actually. I think that this is the best opponent for them to learn from. It's a bit more standard than IG. I think if they had to play someone from the China region, it would also be like an extra element there. At least they're playing someone from the Western scene, and they can learn a lot from OG.
To answer your question about who this format could hurt a bit, I think a team like you were mentioning EG being slow starters. I think it can be a bit dangerous going into this because if EG historically have a bad day 1, right? I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Let's say you lose the first 2 best of 3s. Then in this Swiss format, that doesn't go to the end. You can't get more than another 2 wins because we're playing 4 rounds. That
Correct.
means if you lose out on day 1, you can't get top seed anymore. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And what could end up happening is something similar to the last major where EG and Wings played in the first round simply because they had a bad day 1 in the GSL group. And that's something similar that can happen in this, where in a round robin type format, if you have a bad day 1, you lose 3 games, okay, maybe you can come back and win a lot of games in a row and still finish maybe top 3 in your group. That's just not possible if you lose the first 2 best of 3s. So slow starters get punished pretty hard in this format, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that in the CIS qualifiers for Kiev with Na'Vi. We went 0-4 on the first day, came back on the second day and went 5-4.
Yep.
And that actually allowed them to qualify. I don't think under a Swiss system they would have even gone through to finish in top 4. So very different systems, obviously. There's no perfect system. I think that's the key, isn't it? Unless we've got a month. I mean, I'm busy trying to persuade Valve. We should do majors for a whole month. That's what we should really do. 3 weeks of group stage where
geez.
everyone plays each other twice, home and away, best of 5.
Best of 5.
Never go
That's
home.
the key.
Never go home.
We'll just stay here. It's fine.
Just back-to-back majors.
Yeah, no, it was all good.
It's kind of a crazy idea, isn't it? 3 weeks of seeding into 4-day main event.
See, Sinneran's on the same wavelength
That's
here.
good.
We're
I
clever.
like it.
We've got this. We've got this down. Joking aside, though, this is the 5th major. OG have won 3 of them. There is a pattern developing. They win 1, they lose 1. They win 1, they lose 1. They win 1. Therefore, this one they lose.
And then
they
they win
win
TI.
at TI. Is that? I mean, I know I don't want to get too deep on the whole superstition thing, but we've seen patterns like this happen with the whole West wins, China wins, West wins, China wins. It's happened a lot. Why is it that?
Can't cheat the system. we saw it. We saw that.
Yeah,
Few people saw that Reddit
saw the
post.
thread. Yeah, did you see it?
Guy tries it. He wins 1, loses 1, wins 1, loses. He's like, I'm gonna go unranked. I'm gonna break
Yeah.
this system.
Loses unranked,
Loses unranked.
and then comes
loses
back
again
and
anyway.
loses unranked. Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't. Fate's just there for you.
Yeah. Okay. So OG don't win. So who do then?
I mean, you want to know who I think's gonna win?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, I personally put IG.
Yep.
So,
Okay. A lot of people have put IG. Is this just based on the fact that it's DAC and how well they played there?
I think they looked really dominant. They've played the most out of like almost anybody as well on like the recent patches. I think they have a lot of experience, and they've been playing against like all the Chinese teams in DPL. Yeah, just the most practice.
They have an exceptionally high win rate over the last 2 months, I think, or at least month and a half. It's I can't remember if it's something like 80% win rate.
And
they-
something
93
ridiculous.
wins, 30 losses.
And they're playing good teams.
Yeah.
That's
They
it. I
are.
mean, it's one thing to have a high win rate, but they're playing these tier 1 tournaments every time. So if you have that kind of a win rate, it is indicative that you are
Yeah.
performing at a high level.
Honestly, just the sheer amount of games these Chinese teams are playing against other Chinese teams,
Yeah.
I think China's going to do well this tournament.
Yeah,
They're
they-
scary.
They've
Yeah.
been saying it too. Like I was talking to Jack a little bit, just like via text messages, and he was like, "These teams are not underestimating anybody. The Chinese teams are literally coming in here. They're going to go all out."
Yeah, it does seem. I mean, in terms of, we'll go through what they've been playing since 7.0. It's quite interesting, actually. IG Vitality, 131 pro games since 7.0 was released. IG, 123. They're the second most of any of the teams here. Also have a win record, as Sinneran pointed out, of 93 wins, 30 defeats.
It's absurd.
Which is really, really good at this kind of level. And you say they've been playing it mostly against top teams in China. Other notables, 94 games played by VG.J, 93 by Faceless, 89 from TNC, 72 from Newbie, 61 from Random. And there is not a single Western team in the top 8 most played matches of all the teams here. The highest is Secret, and they've played 55. At the
That's
other end of
such
the
a
scale,
massive disparity.
it is. And Mousesports have played 26 pro games.
And lost.
That's why
15
that
of
is
the
why
26.
they've only played 26, because they played in tournaments where they had a chance of playing a lot of games, but they got knocked out
Knocked
early.
out early, yeah.
And then they just don't get the same amount of practice.
And they've got a free invite to here, so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
made it easier for them because obviously they played less.
But apparently in the West, even if you go super far far in qualifiers, you win Kiev qualifier Secret. You've only played not even half as much as the Chinese teams.
Yeah.
And honestly, there's a big difference between playing officials and playing scrims. In officials, everyone's going to be bring out their best strats. They're going to be trying their hardest. In scrims, sometimes you play versus NP and they're running Spectre Lifestealer. Was that no official?
Really?
I think that was an official.
That was an official.
That was an official. You were lifestealer though.
Yeah. That was not fun.
NP
was
do their
you.
best strats.
It
in
was
scrims.
clever.
Actually, I had some fun.
It was clever.
You hop in the Spectre, you go, woo! You hope for the best, but, in most teams, that's just in scrims.
Yeah.
So, officials help you learn faster.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Okay. We're hearing that the draft might be loading, so hold on to your chairs and we'll get into our first game very shortly. Thank you for your patience. We're just catching up with a bit of Dota chat while we wait for the draft to load. In terms of, let's get back to heroes.
Yes.
And talk about heroes that have good and bad since 7.0. What have you enjoyed watching?
Since 7.0 or
Yeah.
just, I mean, I wanted to go more along like what heroes that we think that we're going to like see the new up and coming ones coming into this tournament.
Okay.
That's the one thing that I wanted to at least touch on,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No, let's do it.
I mean, I've been trying to sell it for a while. I had talked to Jack
I
about
hear
it.
this coming.
You
If
know
I-
it's already
if
what's
I-
coming.
If I hear this, if
I have an
hear this
ally
coming out of your
this time
mouth,
around.
You
But
have an ally now as
yeah,
well?
I'll just say it before we look
Oh,
at the draft.
come-
And it's
don't go
Pugna.
down the
And it's
Pugna
Pugna.
road.
It's Pugna. I'm
You-
hoping
you've
for
almost, You're almost there. Pudge.
No.
Budge. You're almost there. Pugna.
Pugna.
Pudge.
Pugna is an
Legit.
amazing hero.
Legit hero.
No, look, Pudge lost 5 movement speed. Pugna gained 5 movement speed.
Yeah.
That's that. There's no more argument to be had. Pugna is a better hero. That's it. It's movement speed.
If Pugna gained 1 armor, he would be first pick.
If
Yeah.
Pudge has boots, he's slower than Pugna. Without boots,
Yeah.
I think, actually.
Is-
Pudge
I think
is
it's about the
285,
same.
right?
It's
Is it
GG.
the same?
Yeah.
Is GG?
Like, how
What
do
can
you
you
win?
do?
Okay, so Pugna is the hero then.
Yep.
Sold.
I've been a Pugna fan for a long time, though. I really hope
have
we get
you?
to see it.
To
I think
To
it's
be
cool.
fair, though, like,
It's
me and
cool
Falk are on Dignitas together, and we've been saying Pugna since then, so...
Yeah.
It's been a long
You
time
guys
coming.
are the Pugna allies now. You're
Right,
Pugna
even
boys.
before Dignitas, on pot and bottom, we would have way and go, Pugna.
Oh God! No, you reminded
Okay,
me.
if you guys ever find yourselves both teamless at the same time, you must form a new team around both of you and call it Pugna Boys. Simple
Pugna
as that.
boys.
Right, let's get
Here
into
we
the
go.
draft and get away from this silliness. Secret versus VG.J. Opening draft of the group stages here at the Kiev Major. Nothing crazy so far. The Abaddon for Secret, presumably offlane, and the Crystal Maiden for VG.J.
My predictions look good.
Yeah.
Crystal Maiden.
I like Crystal Maiden. She makes
Yeah.
her draft super open. You can play fast. You can go aggro. You can go defensive. She makes dual lane, offlane super easy.
Yeah.
You can actually do anything with this hero.
And we really saw it rise through DAC. It didn't
Yeah.
start off that way, did it? But towards the end, suddenly it was like almost a
I
must
love
pick.
that hero. She,
Yeah.
her
Mid one is
spells-
ready. He's ready to go. That was like the biggest yawn I've ever seen.
CM's
Yeah.
spells are way too good, honestly.
Yeah, they're really good, and the way that people were pairing it, like with at least in DAC, we saw it with the Monkey King pairing, almost like majority of the times, and then also with the Lina. So you have that like massive burst, you have D push, you just have everybody benefits from Arcane Aura. It's
Your
just
team fight is
incredibly
way
good.
too good with Monkey King CM.
Yeah.
You have 2 supports, and sometimes they can 2v5 the enemy team. It's just
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous.
What's interesting about the opening bans as well is VG.J have given a bit of respect to Kezu.
The Enigma ban?
Hmm.
I think Team Secret are one of the best teams in the world at playing around the hero. It's not
Yeah.
just individually that Kezu is a great Enigma player for sure, but it's just the play style of the team, this hard 5-man group up and team fight style
doesn't-
that they
Yeah,
use
he
for it.
doesn't even like use the black hole too often either.
No,
Like
no.
in the games that they play, he's just this walking mech pipe carrier,
Much
just
to
like running at
Malini's
them.
annoyance, it has to be said. Much to Ben's annoyance.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, the Bounty Hunter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They were doing this during Kiev qualifiers,
were.
and I mean it's Puppy and Pie.
Yep.
This is one of their favorites.
This is as an opening, this is a bit unusual that you start with 2 heroes that have 0 stuns or silences. Like
Yeah.
this is a very limited draft opening because Secret are kind of putting themselves in a position now where their follow-up heroes need to have some sort of catch or lockdown to enable the other 2. Whereas I think VG.J's opening is just way more open-ended to me, which generally doesn't happen. The second pick team, which Team Secret is in this case, you generally go for a little bit of more of an open-ended start because you don't know what you're going to get counterpicked with in the first pick.
I think this actually tells us that Team Secret has a strategy planned.
Yeah.
What they're going to do is they're going to take 4 heroes that work very well together, that are pre-planned, and they're going to try to counterpick with their mid. because they had the last pick.
They did use a lot of time on picking this bounty, though. It
That
took
is
them
true.
1 minute of extra time already, so didn't seem fully convinced, I guess.
I'm not sure. Usually what
they
happens...
shouldn't be surprised by first pick CM, I guess.
No, they shouldn't. What usually happens is like, at second pick, you have like, you sort of know what the other team's going to first pick, usually. And you list out like, 4 to 6 heroes that you think you're going to want to first to. And usually those things will cover things in your draft that you're going to want. So in this game, apparently they want some lane pressure and some movement on the map. The Omni is sort of interesting because teams are actually first banning this hero against VG.J in China. So this is a hero that's not really seen in the West. I mean, the West doesn't have many games, but that hero is very scary.
I think it's also, maybe in this game it's difficult to run it that way, but it's always nice to have picks early on in the draft that can fulfill multiple roles. Omni Knight can be played as a support. We mostly see it offlane nowadays, but I think in some cases you can... it doesn't really need much apart from levels in a support role, so it can be even played as a hard 5, I would say, in some cases. I think for VG.J now it wasn't that difficult of a pick. I think the hero in general is great against melee heroes because it makes it easier to use Purification with high impact in the fights, and Team Secret's opening is kind of playing, in my opinion, straight into the hand that VG.J want with their Omni Knight, namely that the opposing team, the 5-man of Secret already doesn't look that good. Yeah. Both Abaddon and Bounty Hunter aren't necessarily the best.
Dominate's pick's also nice because there aren't that many heroes who can straight up 1v1 an Abaddon and crush him, but Omnight's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
Good matchup, for sure.
You can also, I mean, you can purge a track, which is always nice.
Yeah.
And if you cannot teamfight into them with a Bounty Hunter, it becomes a lot harder to get that track code going.
I think it's Bounty Hunter. Generally, his biggest weakness as a hero is if the rest of your lineup cannot execute teamfights, the hero just falls off. So extremely hard past minute 10. So again, that's what I really think Secret needs to solve here, is that it's very clear that VG.J at some point will be coming at them with a 5-man with this Omni Knight and will start pushing towers. And if Secret can't respond or split push fast enough, they'll just lose their base and not be able to fight back at all.
And usually it's Kezu playing their big team fighter, and they already picked the Abaddon for him.
Yeah. Maybe it's a carry Abaddon.
Could be.
Do you think that's viable?
Carry Abaddon?
I like carry Abaddon.
I've seen it run a few times.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good this patch, actually.
I think you generally only pick carry Abaddon when you sort of like debate them with the offlane Abaddon. They pick some things good against it, and then they're going to go aggro, put a 1v1, and you're like, nope, this is my real offlane. That's when it really shines.
So they do go for the Wisp as well. So they're getting
Okay.
this is comfort for Secret, full comfort.
Yeah. I think the idea now for Secret is to get a... Yeah, okay. I was actually even thinking Ember for Secret now, because you want mid 1 to have a hero that can play super aggressive and take a lot of advantage from having both the tether and the aphotic shield and just go in and kill stuff.
This is...
I think Secret have to win lanes right now.
Yeah, they have no team fight.
Their team fight is...
It's like nothing.
You
really.
cannot run into the CM Omni Knight.
There's no team fight. They don't have real catch for Ember now either. So this Ember pick, he's going to be able to have like free split push if he gets to that point. This is actually like they played this exact opening VG.J the other day from DPL, and you know what other hero they had inside this lineup? Pugna.
Was it Pugna?
It was Pugna.
That's hype.
But they did pick like I think there was the Juggernaut or the Terrorblade. It was the Juggernaut. They picked 4th pick previously, so Secret actually bans on out. So at least removing a little bit of their pushing potential from that. And they go for mid 1's Shadow Fiend.
I like this choice.
That's good.
I think when you say Ember Spirit, you have to say, I can destroy this guy in lane.
Yeah.
With Shadow Fiend, easily one of the strongest lanes. Ember, the weakness of Ember really is that it's not that he's so bad 1v1, he's not great, but it's the fact that if you try to dual lane with your Ember, he's awful. He has 1 armor, he doesn't add anything, he has maybe a 1-second chain that maybe hits, shield gets purged instantly, whereas you have a dual lane with a Shadow Fiend, they're going to right-click you.
It's the way it looked for Secret after those first 3 picks, there were really, in a way, only 2 options left. Like, either they have extreme dominance early on, or they play hardcore split push. I don't think team fighting was an option anymore. But if you have a hero like Shadow Fiend that can snowball really hard, and you back him up with both the IO and the Abaddon, he can actually get to a point where this fighting is possible for Secret. And what they want to do is they want to be the ones that play the faster game. So they come online at maybe minute 15, and sure, you don't have any disables, but you put so much pressure that the enemy team has to fight into you, and then you don't need to catch them.
That sounds like a solid game plan with this SF.
Yeah.
Mid 1, I actually really like his SF. He did this build. I call it the mid 1 build, but he just went Treads Aquila, Dragonlance, straight Butterfly. And I've never seen a Shadow Fiend look that scary before. I looked at him like, this is the build. And honestly, he's geared towards that. He has 3 heroes that buff him right now.
Yep.
They're pretty all in on the Shadow Fiend, which isn't a bad thing this game either.
Hard for them to really get it like onto him, just like, take him out.
If he gets to Butterfly BKB, they have no damage from him too. So
they need a physical core.
Yeah, VG needs to look for some out spam or something that can sort of lock down the Shadow Fiend, contest him in the mid game, because that's what Secret's draft is, right?
This pick really caught them off guard. They've used a good minute and a half now, I think, on figuring out what they want to do. The Ember pick was instant, and this was not what they were expecting.
I think the thing is the Ember pick was more of a block pick.
I mean,
he's a good pick with their lineup, but they saw those 3 heroes in Secret, like, they cannot get Ember.
Yeah.
Ember's too perfect for him. But honestly, I like Shadow Fiend more. Luna.
Physical damage core, push actual tower, like a objective taker.
An aggressive Luna.
It's I think Luna in this game is really nice simply because Secret don't have any significant burst. They can't really kill her very quickly. The only high damage ability they have right now is Requiem, unless you had like a 3-raise combo, but that's not very likely. And she even has Repel backing her up. It's a hero that, given a good lane in the start, can come online fairly early and fight, and that is what it's going to come down to. It's, can you just run in and man-fight Secret and bring down their heroes through all of this defensive heal and sustain that they have? And Luna has a lot of spread damage, so could work. I think it's a pretty good choice.
The other thing that Luna lets them do is go aggro this game. You see the 2 supports in Secret,
could do that for sure.
pretty low damage.
That's true.
Go aggro with this aura, the CM bite. You have a very high damage aggro, honestly. And you already have the good matchup in your off lane.
Yep, I like that. It's a good way of alleviating pressure from your Ember mid as well. If it's an IO Shadow Fiend mid and you can pressure the enemy safe lane so hard and take their tower around the maybe even the 6-minute mark if you're facing this kind of a lineup from Secret, Secret will have to either rotate down there and leave their mid lane a bit more open, or they just lose their tower, and then Luna will just rotate to her own safe lane and take the tower there, and they'll get the ball rolling maybe even before Shadow Fiend can.
Secret has a last pick, but I expect them to pick something that's I like to call them dead laners, heroes that cannot be messed around with in your safe lane. If they pick a dead laner, then they can move their supports to mid. It's very hard to move to mid if your safe lane's just getting hit and pressured, and he feels bad, and MPO like, help, and we can't. So
Chaos.
Wow.
Wisp CK.
Ooh.
Okay, I don't know how much I like the CK pick here.
It's a very interesting draft.
It's
I'm going to
maybe
give
the
you the
lane's good
opportunity. We don't normally do this. Normally at Majors we make you do the predictions before the draft, but we'll do it per game, and we'll do it after the draft. So we're going to start with Synderen.
I like VG.J.
You like VG.J?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
I think their lineup is more well-rounded and
More meta?
not necessarily more meta as such. It's just when I see these two lineups, if you think of ease of execution, I think Secret's lineup is harder to play and needs a specific subset of things to happen. If they execute it perfectly, they will look amazing. If they have just a couple of hiccups, I think they're going to be run over in the mid game. So starting out with a lot of confidence, I guess. That's not an easy lineup to play.
VG.J for Synderen, Ari?
I'd take VG.J as well. I think Secret's lineup sort of needs to play fast, but it's really hard to play quickly against a CM when they have this aura giving you extra spells. They have better lane push. I mean, the West sort of mitigates that, but I like VG.J's draft more so.
Vogt?
I also like
It's
VG's
3 out of
to
3.
be honest. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that Secrets is very lane prominent. They need to do really well on the lanes, and I think the Luna pick was really good to at least like Curtis made the point of attempting maybe if they go for an aggro thing, just having that type of strong lane and putting the pressure.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. All 3 of our panel members have made their predictions. I'm sure you've made your predictions on social media as well. They've all gone for VG.J here. Let's head into opening game of the Kiev Major with the commentary team. Toby 1, it's all yours.
An insanely China-biased panel, Ben. No one believes in Secret. No one believes in the highest MMR player in the game today.
No one's even seen Secret, really.
No.
Hold on, my predictions are here.
Really?
Hold
Is that
on.
actually what you have to stop and do? No.
I always do those.
You do.
Gotta get those battle
You did
points,
this at TI. You actually did that during the main stage of TI.
People care, Toby.
People care?
People
to
care.
help people inside the game, you have your little predictions to go. Do we want to do that? No,
Am I with Secret or VG.J here? I'm not actually sure. It's a toss-up. I'm not sure how good they are with the Omni Knight. It's a hero that I did not expect to see first phase in our first game.
Well, Fog was talking about the fact they actually ran a very similar draft, and then the Juggernaut got banned out in the second phase, which was part of it. It was the Juggernaut and the Pugna, and they go a different avenue. They go in with this VS plus the Luna instead. So it will be interesting to see how it all comes together for VG.J. But the panel was going with them, and you do ask the question, like, how's CK meant to work with the lineup? Like, the lanes look good, but going into the mid game, isn't Luna and the Ember Spirit going to have a lot better time against the CK?
Yes, but the Ember Spirit needs farm, and that's where the Wisp plus SF comes in. And Luna, it's gonna be tough for the CK to do stuff. Wisp makes a lot of things possible. Hold on, I have 13 seconds. Player with the most kills? Oh. Okay. What are you doing, Toby? Why are you so quiet? Are you doing yours too after criticizing me?
Hey, you're the one that was meant to be saying something really intelligent just then. Obviously not. Yeah, I also did mine as well.
Thank you.
We'll see if I fail.
I had VG.J, Puppy, Freeze, and Puppy.
VG.J mid 1, ROTK, and Puppy.
Okay.
I rushed my middle too, I'm not going to lie. But congratulations if anyone else.
Oh, they're switching up lanes over here. So Fenrir and Aggressive decided that they don't want any of that bottom lane because they know that it's an ABBA. So we see a lot of dodging going on.
But the rotation's been watched, and Puppy's already waiting for the courier too. Thanks to the observer wards they've got, they're going to see that exact path of the courier, but the pings just came out too. Puppy cut a tree in vision. So they know what's going on. And that courier's gone the very long way home.
Ooh, yeah, the very, very long way.
Yeah, it's the safety. You know the bounty hunter is on the prowl. Puppy. There's a reason why he picked up this hero within the first 2. He loves his bounty hunter, and he is renowned for it too. So Freeze, he has to deal with the early pressure. But so now you're running this top lane, this IO plus CK. Actually, they're TPing up as well. Okay, so FY and Fenrir are running here. Aggressive takes the initial stun on the top. Now it's actually MP. They turn it around onto him on the run through the tree lanes. A fairy fire consumed by Pilot Eye, giving him the extra life. And this will actually allow him to survive. So no kill on the top lane, and it is a very difficult lane to murder.
CK is just really, really tanky. 4 armor, and he has the Wisp back him up, and a Stout Shield, and a Strength Hero. They actually don't need a Wisp mid, though, which is really, really good for mid 1.
RTK. This takes so much after he has already his Purification. With a D-Gen aura, it's a little bit more difficult for KZoo and MP just to track him down. But he'll already have to move back and trigger the Shrine 2 minutes in.
I thought he was going to go for the kill.
It looked like they had enough damage for it, but nope. So lane rotation, KZoo's going to TP himself up towards top lane. Try and get that matchup that they want again.
They really want the CK to be fed, though, which I think is the right call.
Mid 1, that's troublesome. In behind the tower, Freeze diving in deep. The Flame Gun's enough of a burn to get the kill. Freeze will end up going down. Pilot Eye was in the neighborhood, so able to just leech a little bit.
And he spent all his unreliable gold. Nice efficiency there. Bought his boost and his TP scroll right before.
Doesn't miss that much. In fact, he doesn't miss a single last hit in the mid lane.
Puppy's still hunting for that courier, but with him dying, he actually does not need to send the courier mid, so that's an extra benefit of him dying. Puppy's just trying to steal bounties, and they know where he is right now, and he is still level 1. Poor guy. Yeah, so I think there's 2 varying philosophies for the CK. Like, you can either keep both carries like underfarmed in like perhaps a try-on-try situation where you're not really going to get that much, but I think Luna's much better without items because you have Eclipse and you have Lunar Blessing, both of which are not really that item dependent, whereas CK, if you're weak, you're just going to get cleaved down by the Glaives. Like, even one Purification could just kill all of your images. So I think you really need to armor it up on the Chaos Knight or whatever strength items ASAP. And eventually a Diffusal Blade is really good at killing the Ember Spirit and just locking down the Luna. Purging off Guardian Angel is also going to be incredibly important for them. They don't actually have that much magic damage.
You're still talking about like a lot of money coming out there.
Yeah,
so what happens when VG.J just group up? When ROTK has the farm he wants on that Omni Knight?
Well, that's the thing about Wisp too. You can split push very, very effectively, and I think they are going to need to do that. Because
more trouble on mid lane for mid 1. All that MML doesn't count for much when Freeze just able to Searing Chains you and lock you in. Now that's going to be his bottle sub 4 minutes. His CS hasn't been terrific. Like, it's 22-11 against a 13-1, so Freeze has not been coming out on top as far as that CS goes in the mid. But with the kills going his way, he sits higher up on the net worth.
And Pilot Eye hasn't actually been able to move too much from the lanes. He didn't start off with the Iron Talon like we do see him so commonly because they wanted to pressure the lanes a little bit. But as a side result, Bounty Hunter not doing anything and Pilot Eye not being in the mid lane, SF's just been all alone. And we expected this matchup to be not that great for Freeze, but first blood, not as much CS, but second kill too.
Is there a way to stem the bleeding? Like, do you switch the lanes up and put more like the IOCK in mid and let the SF go to bottom lane?
I think you just stack for him.
That's
Wisp
it.
is really
You just
good
play
at
the
stacking.
catch-up game with him.
That's generally what you do with SF. You just stack, get him a few camps with level 3 or level 4 raid, and then just group up with him.
Freeze, careful. Oh, wow, really careful mid-1.
Okay, that's how you catch back up.
Level 2 raise, and what attack. And the Ember Spirit caught napping in the mid.
That was so greedy. Like, maybe he was waiting for his bottle on chicken, but even that's not super safe because there's a bounty hunter in the game. He's not that close to level 6.
Speaking of the bounty hunter, you're going to go to bottom lane where RTK is being initiated on Puppey with a slow. Orb of Venom plus Donata. They need extra slowdown RTK, but they just don't have it, but they do force the TP out from FY.
Oh, Omni Knight's actually going for the phase boost build too. Omni Knight wants to get in there. They just want to be able to bum rush their heroes. They know that they don't really have a good way to deal with the GA early in the game.
That's actually what he did last time he built this. He went phase Midas and then with the pipe Shivas.
That's
Was
one
the
of the
build he
benefits
did.
of having the CM too. You don't need to go for the arcanes. Like, he's very mana intensive as an Omni Knight, and you want to have that sustain so you can farm up camps and just sustain a push. But with CM on your team, it's just so much easier to get away with heroes that aren't commonly picked.
So right now up on this top lane, are you actually happy with this? With Abaddon, KZU's able to get in a lot closer, get a lot more farm?
You say a lot more farm. He has 12 CS.
He's getting there compared to what he had before.
Yeah,
He's got one third of that in just the last minute.
he's been forced to TP a lot and just run around. He's very low on their priority list of farm.
That Radiant Observer is still able to scat out a lot, including FY's rotation up to the top lane. Freeze going in deep under the tier 1 tower. TP support's coming in. This is a level 6 Ember Spirit. But then again, does he actually have enough to get out of here? Blocked by the Spirit, taking way too much damage from the tower. So if the Spirit jump up, will get him back into the river, and Puppey unable to close the distance.
Freeze will not be blessed with the rune.
Oh, top lane, KZU. The ulti, the Eclipse, the creep wave. It tanked up all. I think it tanked up every single beam. Aggressive, just can't find the luck against the Abaddon.
Yeah, he would have needed 2 hits. He's only level 6, so level 3 beam wasn't going to be enough.
MP bottom lane, Frostbite's there. It was an Omni Knight just invis jumping through the rear, takes the damage from the Purification, and it will be enough with the Degen Aura for him to die. Can't make it to the stack to deny himself. At the same time, Puppey ends up getting picked off next to the Bounty Rune inside the Dire Jungle.
Bounty Hunter is level 2.5. That is so sad. Looking at his experience right now. He doesn't even have TP up cooldown, so he has a... That's the walk of shame.
He's going to have to leech. He'll have to actually leech when the SF does his
Yeah,
flash farming.
that's definitely what he needs to do, because there's just not really many avenues for him to get back. They don't have enough disables to kill the Ember. Luna's pretty well fortified in her safe lane, and then Omni Knight's a very difficult kill, especially when the supports are constantly sitting behind them with sentry wards to protect. So they always have to live in fear. Are the supports sitting behind RTK? Probably, but they don't know for sure most of the time.
Puppey's trying to just inch his way up, but yeah, he's not certain where that sentry ward is.
Yeah.
Like, we can see it, whereas a little bit further down the lane, so Puppey can go up that way. So he puts down an Observe Ward just to get his own vision.
And ROTK doesn't even need to skill up Repel. He's in a good spot. Ember Spirit, despite his early death.
This feels like bait. RTK inches forward with a creep wave around him. Wants MP to actually rift him. And in fact, that's actually what they're going to do. The stun and rift. Fenrir is there to help out. Now they can try and turn this with a Purification plus Frostbite. MP takes a lot of damage. Puppey moves in as well, but they don't have enough for the kill, but is setting up for the rotation. FY and Freeze, they're already down the bottom lane. They'll see Puppey moving over towards the left, but they're focusing on the big one. They're focusing on MP, so the Magic Missile stun, 2 Spirit committal. Chaos Knight will drop, and Pylai quickly TPs himself away to safety and away from the gank of VG. And this will now probably be the tier 1 tower on bottom.
VG.J just need to group up because Secret's so weak right now. Bounty Hunter offers nothing. CK has no items, and SF struggled a little bit in the mid lane, but he is going to get some good space to farm right now. And ROTK is going very greedy. 3 in Degen. Screw Repel, screw GA. That's a super offensive build.
Just like ask him to come at him. RTK is going to TP towards the mid just to stop mid one from pressuring that too much. They've already got the bottom tower in the bag, unless Puppey wants to attempt a denial.
No way.
But that would be very, very dangerous.
His life isn't worth that much, but it's not worth that little right now. He's not like a melee creep status yet.
So you take the tier 1 tower. Team Secret trying to get something in return, and aggressive is probably the best target they had. VG.J showed a lot of players on bottom lane, so they're cutting through. They're trying to find aggressive in that small little nook to the south of the tier 1 tower, and they know it.
He's very tanky, though. Luna, level 8, usually don't think of him as that tanky, but with stick and strange treads and raindrop, he is not easy to kill.
He drags the creep wave up, and now, in fact, Team Secret have to take more damage, and they're going to be concerned too. VG.J should have TPs available. So you don't want to get way too aggressive, and in fact, now, with Omni Knight up in the top lane, our TK arrives. There is no fight to be had here.
How does CK jump into this lineup? Like, he has to be deathly afraid of reality rifting. And even his ulti isn't going to stay alive. Kezu walks into aggressive.
FY's got to run out of here. It was underneath the sentry ward. But yep, RTK, he's just going to keep going at him. Doesn't matter if Kezu wants to run into this. He's still holding that extra point, so if he wants his borrowed time, he can get it.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen too many people hold that skill point.
Oh, Kezu, that burst damage. There goes the ulti. But they just waited out. Pylai Die jumps in. Now the Eclipse aggressive. Explodes the IO. Kezu still dying in the tree lines. If he can just stay in range. RTK, the damage isn't enough from mid one. He got stunned up by the Lucifer Beam and couldn't finish the job. Kezu on 55 HP moves down to the tree lines and RTK gets caught out. Mid one will find the kill. Meanwhile, down on bottom lane, the stun was holding Freeze away from MP. And now they're the ones on the retreat. Pilot Eye comes over at MP. Reality Rift plus Chaos Bolt is available. But they hesitated with the initiation onto the Ember Spirits. They just let him go.
Not sure if RTK thought he could get away with that with the build that he had. Normally in that position you can like repel GA TP and there's no way for them to stop him. But he doesn't have the luxury of that to him yet. Veil on Ember, pretty common, but he definitely needs the armor. You're going to be taking a lot of physical from CK, especially with the Reality Rift and President of the Dark Lord, so they need Aquila, Vlad's, Medallion, everything.
Well, this game can go for a while then. Mid one's going to take out that top tower, top net worth by far, but the relocate Pilot Eyes come in with MP. They want RTK, but while the repel's up, they can't do much. It'll come down. Purification, Fenrir gets the slow and aggressive. He wants something, but Pilot Eye in 2 seconds' time will take MP back to safety. So as Kezu as well as mid one on the run, but look who's coming up again. Fenrir, FY as well as Freeze. In through the South Spirit, jump forward. He'll be out of Searing Chains over on both. Nope, mid one, Frostbitten up. Still got the ulti off and Freeze taking too much damage. They need to kill up mid one with a Sleight of Fist. He'll actually die to the end ultimate, giving mid one a double kill, but Kezu stands his ground.
Wow, he was holding his chains for whatever reason. VG.J, they all expected him to cancel the Requiem cast with the chains, and they probably could have killed him before the cast, but he let it go off, and then he took a 1.5 Requiem to the face and just got slaughtered. He didn't need a pop stick. Maybe he didn't have enough mana at that exact moment or something. It might be one of those moments where you're like, oh, I have enough mana, and then you press it, and you're like, oh, wait, no, out of mana, and then you have to stick, and then you have to press it again, but at that time it might have been too late. So, yeah, that was, it's quite the blunder for them. That's rough.
Yeah, not the 5 VG.J were wanting, and this is now leveling it up, 7-7 on the board. Team Secret with these couple of engagements actually start getting an advantage in the net worth. They've actually switched it around by almost 5,000 at this point. Same with the experience, they're leading for the first time.
Yeah, and mid one's definitely going to be the king of this game for some time to come. He's very ahead in net worth, and he's going for the BKB rush. I think the BKB is really good here because their team fight is just horrendous compared to VG.J right now.
Pilot Die is dying to RTK. He has to tether TP out before RTK can do enough damage to solo kill him. With the phase boost, there's no way for I to outrun him.
Yeah, Aura's VG.J trying to double down on their team fight presence, but they don't really have a good way to deal with the BKB Shadow Fiend at all. And compound that with the Wisp being able to maybe even prevent him from having to pop his BKB really early on in the fight. It's not looking as good for VG.J as it once was. The team fight was going to be really, really strong, but SF, he can just right-click people down, as we've seen in the fights.
Maybe that's the reason, too, why we see RTK changing up his Omni Knight build, going in for the earlier drums. You're going to get the Blink Dagger plus Veil control coming in from the Ember.
Normally, at this point, they would have grouped up and pushed down T1s. They grouped up, pushed T1 bottom with a smoke, and now they aren't even really close to approaching the T1s at all. And you don't want to split up versus a Bounty Hunter, and especially a Bounty Hunter with a Wisp. So anyone that's just off alone is just going to get relocated on.
Like this. Top lane, FY. The 3-second stun is overkill. FY will die.
And they're lucky that there's not a Bounty Hunter there, or they would have just given up like 200 more gold at that point. So now they realize, okay, we need to
Instead,
group up.
Puppey is actually sniping couriers if he can almost get enough damage in. That had the Drums of Endurance on it. That actually has ROTK's item. And Spirit now having to jump himself away from mid 1 and KZU.
They're trying to group up mid, but they don't have a T1 tower there. They want to push here, but
they got Aggressive's ulti.
It's not really happening.
Like they got a solo SF with Eclipse available, and they just don't want to do it.
Mid one's just really good at imposing his presence, though. Like, he could be farming neutrals, he could be farming ancients, but he's preventing this push by just standing super far ahead. He's also been able to allow Secret to get these really nice observer wards on the map. Look at that trifecta of wards. It's covering with the majority of the map that VG.J want to go to. Every time they want to group up for a push, they're probably going to have to use a smoke. And if they split up, boom, relocate, someone else is dead. So VG.J's options are really limited right now. It was supposed to be good for them. They were supposed to continue to take them T1s and group up, but it's actually Secret that are just playing really well around the SF.
It looked like they were, like, for the last 30 seconds, VG.J have been moving around that sentry ward. Like, they want to smoke, but they can't even do that. Like, they picked one up, but now I think they're realizing with the tier 2 tower being dropped on the top lane by Team Secret, they have to go for a straight trade-off.
It's because they're not confident they're going to win a team fight right now.
Well, here comes the SF, so they may have no choice. Fortifications up. If they want this tower, they have to take the team fight.
Yeah, they could easily get relocated from behind, and their supports would get slaughtered, and there's just no chance. GA still not up for Omni Knight, so maybe with that they could take one.
Oh, Puppey just hit the perfect sentry ward. He just got both of the obs wards. VG.J kind of messed up a little bit. They put 2 obs wards almost on top of each other, and Puppey's 1 sentry ward was able to claim both of them.
And that will be an easy Roshan.
This'll come in handy.
Team Secret will get that one. Puppey may even have a little bit more to say against RTK. They're not going to rotate out for him straight away.
Okay, SF is just...
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's really difficult to deal with right now.
Full BKB, Dragonlance is up, another 1,000 gold is sitting in the bank account.
I didn't expect him to have this good of a game, though, when the Wisp wasn't there with him. But those couple of mid-game plays really propelled him to the position where he can just dominate everyone.
You do also ask the question, like, how much did that fight up on top lane hurt them? Like, it wasn't just the fact that SF was able to pick up the 2 kills. Obviously, that's a big part of it. But then the space for Chaos Knight. Armored is up. MP working his way towards having the BKB. Space was created with that one failed fight. The VG.J just couldn't, like, win and then add more pressure. Restrict the movement of Team Secret. Now with Veil, they try and burn him down. Mid one's here. Puppey. Oh, Spirit jump back. He's going to be able to do it and a long way away. Causing rotations from Team Secret. Freeze. Just try and distract them more than anything else.
They actually don't have enough armor on Dire side. The only armor item they have is Veil right now. They don't even have an Aquila. I thought they were going to build Aquila and then maybe a medallion on the Vengeful Spirit, but they have an urn on the Ven, but they haven't gotten a kill in ages. They got like, what, 1 kill in the last 10 minutes or so?
Yep.
So, this physical damage is quite staggering. You need your heroes to be tanky so you can play around it with Omni Knight. You know, you want to Purification first. When people get low, then you throw out your Repel GA combo, and then your second round of Purification will
Do you want this aggressive? He's brought the tower within deny range now, so he does take it. KZU going to rotate in, but here comes the Eclipse with the relocate. It's difficult to get away. The Guardian Angel's taking up so much of this damage, so they will survive to kill off Pylai Die. RTK, not enough life to actually give back to aggressive, or is it? It will be enough with the Frostbite creating space. There's a 4-second stun on the Crystal Maiden, and she's dying to Phantasm. Fenrir can stick up quickly. Nova, he's got a Frostbite available too, and they'll trigger the Shrine. So Fenrir will survive. Io will fall. They claim the tier 1 tower. So a good engagement for VG.J overall.
He didn't get the armlet toggle on the illusions. Like the illusions don't have the armlet buff on them. I think they might have been able to kill the Crystal Maiden just with the armlet buff on the illusions alone without his hero committing. But it was pretty nice kiting by VG.J. They didn't end up with a Luna death, which I think would have been incredibly painful for them at this point in time. But finally, they get that tower.
Yep. And with the death of the tower, the fact that Luna survives, the painfulness you're talking about is the fact that Luna could have been delayed on her Manta style. That's the dodge she's looking for to stop the Chaos Knight from being the big controller.
Yep. And looks like mid one is actually building into a Bloodthorn next. So BKB Bloodthorn, I don't know if he's actually going to commit for it, but maybe he thinks, okay, they're actually not focusing me down at all in any of these fights, so he can get away with it, especially with his BKB. One offensive item, one defensive item. It's really good versus the Ember Spirit, too.
Bottom lane, goodbye Vengeful Spirit.
Yeah.
Easy and successful smoke. Meanwhile, Freeze is being pushed out of the top lane. He just wanted to farm it up a little bit. Man, Casey does so much damage with that Abaddon. Freeze is forced to TP himself away to safety. RTK is in the neighborhood.
One thing I will say about Kezu, he really does play for the team.
Relocate. The coming up after Fenrir is just not a fun day to be a VG.J support.
More deaths. More track gold.
Puppy's just setting up for it so easily. The IO and the Bounty together. A very scary global combination with these deaths continuously happening for VG.J. They just can't come out, so Team Secret, they're happy for it. Raise down the wave, force in the tier 2 tower. And VG.J are in no position to fight yet. They still need to get the Blink Dagger over on Freeze. He stopped after getting the Veil to pick up the BTs.
Trying to think about how VG.J get back into this. Their lineup was built around 5-manning, but their window has been like this for quite
Nice
some
sleight
time.
of fist. Perfect Searing Chains MP. He could actually get the combination over on Freeze, but Freeze needs to get out of here. His BTs are off cooldown. And there's the Spirit Jump, but he's right on top of mid one. Another Spirit Jump back to where his tier 2 tower used to be. But this has been good delay from VG.J. That Aegis Immortal is going to time out in about 30 seconds time. So they've managed to avoid the fight during the Aegis timing.
It's not good though if you're needing to avoid fights, and eventually they are going to have to fight. And I think the team fight items are coming out of plenty.
I'm still looking at RTK to have his big team fight items. You could see just how effective that Guardian Angel was in the mid lane before.
Well,
now he's running his Hand of Midas. He's trying to catch back up again. With the plus 60 gold per minute, it's all about the holler for RTK.
There's no good team fight items that he can really get though. Like he doesn't have Arcane, so he can't go for Greaves. I guess he could get a mech, but it would be like super late. And
well, the last time he did, he got Pipe and Shivas.
Pipe is not very good versus the lineup. Shivas is decent, I suppose, but I don't know if you want to get that as your third item. It is pretty good versus the CK, but I don't think he really wants to be the one running in there. Like his earlier skill build and item build suggests that he did, but when it comes later into the game, when Shadow Fiend hits really hard, I don't think he can tank it even with the armor build. And the Orchid is completed up on Shadow Fiend, so now they have. He doesn't have a mobility item, but he still can catch the Omni Knight if he's out of position, prevent defensive swaps if he finds the
Don't think you want to do this, FY. Oh, that's what he wants to do. He stuns to take the range creep and then TP's out.
They're stalling for Luna to get really big.
Yeah. But, man, I'm looking at Keizu, and Keizu could probably tank most of this in the future. Like Aghanim's Vlad Solar Crest.
Yeah, he definitely can.
They already can't kill him.
He's really good versus Luna, and he has the right items to just run in there and not care. Unlike ROTK, who has a more solo-oriented build.
And he's always going to have friends. Relocate in with a CK. Keizu was never alone. That's why this two-man push onto the bottom tower is just so effective. VG.J knows they cannot fight this.
They can attempt to sneak a Roach, I think. If they build a medallion on one of their heroes with the VS aura, I think if they can catch Secret split pushing, they can trade a Roach for it. But first step is to take these towers down, and I don't think this
Here
one's
comes the
gonna die.
TPs. Mid one's to the front lines. FY is already forced to run away.
They see mid one, they just leave. They're like, no, no.
I think was that RTK TPing down? I think it was, and he actually ends up canceling it. He was headed down to the bottom shrine. And so they just leave the space for aggressive. More levels up for him. Still approaching the BKB. And until he's got that, it doesn't look like he wants to have any engagement at all. And the Ember Spirit's just moved off having the Blink Dagger. It's all about the Lincoln Sphere. Full protection for him now. Perfect Observe Ward watching aggressive farming up top lane. However, that silence being released over on Freeze. RTK will break him free. Mid one, they're focusing on the Io. They need him to go down in order then to kill off that BKB'd up Shadow Fiend. They're able to achieve it, but they lose the Luna in return. And that was Team Secret actually being forced into 2 different engagements. They used the Observe Ward watching the Dire Ancients, or near the Ancients, to farm to try and get the kill.
Yeah, that was actually a difficult play by Secret. They saw the free Luna kill, but if they go for the Luna kill, they actually can't win the fight on top. At least they didn't lose the mid one. I do like how he wasn't very greedy with his Requiem. Like, he didn't see any heroes in sight, but he knows that he just needs to not die in that fight. Is pretty much what needs to happen for him right there.
Oh, Poppy. He's got a Yule Scepter, cancels the TP out, the Orchid's down, and there's no Spirit to jump out to. Mid one with a raise. Ends up killing all Freeze. All Freeze want to do is add a little bit of pressure to the top lane. And now they're going to be scared. Roshan potentially can spawn up, and this will be in their minds. But they'll have to wait a little bit longer. Just over a minute before Roshan is alive.
You know it's an issue when Shadow Fiend has done more magic damage than the Ember Spirit. It's actually something that really doesn't happen very often at all. Especially when he goes for a Veil build super early. And yeah, Ember Spirit is just not going to be very useful. He doesn't have any AoE to deal with the CK illusions too. CK's getting pretty fat right now. He's going to have Heart pretty soon, whereas you're just going to have a Linken's on your Ember Spirit, which is just like no damage, no Maelstrom, no Battle Fury, and his magic damage is...
Oh, the relocate. There goes your Crystal Maiden. Fenrir in trouble again, Poppy being the man to set up for it. Keizu being in the neighborhood. And FY and Aggressive can't really do much to stop this. There's sentry warding everywhere on the southern part of the map, but it won't matter when Team Secret break your base. They're going into the high ground. There's your swap back out again, trying to save the Omni Knight. He did get silenced up, and thanks to this, maybe now there's some rebuttal. MP just being a Photic shielded up. They can't even stun and control. So Team Secret do heavy damage to the tier 3 tower. They can back up, however. The line's being drawn. Roshan did just respawn.
Yeah, they can easily take a
Oh,
fight
wow,
right
that's
now.
TP? No.
Their ulti's back up on MP. So, oh, and an Arcane Rune. I wonder who they're going to give that to. I guess maybe CK for 2 ultis? I think having the second ulti is going to be really nice for pushing high ground.
They give it to the Abaddon?
Yeah, I guess Abba's okay too. It depends on what they want to do. I think Abba's is way better for the team fight, and CK's is way better for actually sieging the base.
Notice how VG.J are doing nothing to try and contest this. Fenrir is trying to leech experience up on the top. RTK pushes at the bottom. They know the fight's going to come to mid, and again, they'll just have to have like better positioning, better control if they're going to survive this. And Freeze just needs a little bit more money. Poppy's able to find him once again. With both Yules as well as the Shuriken toss, it's so easy for him to interrupt Freeze doing what he's doing. And in fact, now he's going to go on RTK. Quick Yules up, then repel, TP out. RTK will have the life to survive this. No more stuns to hurt him and relocate down.
Still a nice attempt by them. Still no way, and I don't think they're ever really going to have a way to stop this.
Is this Freeze with the confidence?
He's making plays at creating space, but still his upside for his team fight is quite limited. They see mid one, but...
Yeah, they're going to try and kill him off. Aggressive, able to get the initial stun, but they just don't know.
Bro, he has Aegis.
Yeah. The committal for
That's
that
one of those
you're
like,
good.
we can't do this, guy.
And now MP actually wants to go on Freeze. Perfect sleight of fist here in chain, so he'll get away.
I still like their plan of, let's see SF run away.
It is the cheapest guard for RTK. He just completes it now.
Yeah, that's really nice in combination with Repel. Maybe he can run in, but I think it will limit a lot of the damage from the CK. Maybe not as much from the Shadow Fiend because he has a lot more attack speed at this point.
Oh, Freeze, be careful. He's going into the middle of 4 heroes from Team Secret. Lincoln's will trigger. Yule's Scepter up into the air, a quick sleight of fist, and then Spirit back to his tier 3 tower. But reveals the position of Team Secret as the small advantage.
Mid one looks like he wants to push high ground, but his team is not really that close. Creep wave is coming in. Just a few more seconds that he needs to wait. I think they have everything that they need. They have Aegis primarily, and the Solar Crest, and Vlad's, and a really, really fat Shadow Fiend.
But getting all the way in is so difficult, especially when aggressive can be babysitted by RTK. Mobs up the wave pretty quickly. Ember Spirit's still not involved in this. He's pushing in the top lane. He's trying to finally finish off that tier 1 tower.
He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have any wave clear. Like, his Sleight of Fist doesn't do any damage because he doesn't have Maelstrom. So he doesn't actually need to be here for the wave defense. I guess he can stall with Slight and Chains, but it doesn't really work versus that ABBA. And mid one's going to have to deal with this, like, repel and
here we go again.
Spam.
MP jumping in, looking for that initiation. 3-second stun. Vengeful Spirit has to swap RTK back out. He will survive. They don't have a shrine to help him out, but the tier 3 tower falls. Freeze now here in the fight. Another quick jump, but the Sleight of Fist, searing chains. MP just cannot get his combination off on the Ember Spirit, but what they can do is leave the Immortal one. Mid one with the Aegis, beating into the range racks. They get the fortification out as well. Another quick victory here for Team Secret.
they're actually limited by Kezu's mana pool. They can probably just tether them up if they want to, but with the T3 down, easy shrines, I think they have enough time with the Aegis to even venture further into the Dire base.
That's enough for Kezu to actually buy up the full Ags now too. Is this now VG.J? They've moved out just down to their southern shrine. They're not really going to find anyone to kill off. It's just, again, more pressure, push out, control as much as you can and get as much resources in before Team Secret try and siege you once more. Get aggressive closer towards that butterfly.
I don't think it's going to happen in time.
Butterfly before they push again?
Yep.
Nah, I don't disagree.
ROTK is playing like an ABBA. Once I think about it, he's playing, he's like, I wanted ABBA, but I'm just going to have to suffice for Omni Knight. He likes being up there. The typical Omni Knight playstyle is like getting Aether Lens and sitting way in the back and buffing at one of your other cores.
Aggressive, don't show yourself if you want to survive through this FY. SF's going to raise down the wave.
At least he has BKB TP. They don't have any instant disable, so he is very, very safe. But only like a minute and a half left on this Aegis. Actually, it's less than a minute.
In towards the mid. Fenrir, more trouble for him. Poppy sets up. Pilot Eye and MP just wander in, and now there's no Crystal Maiden. And mid one's making his way towards the mid. But the bigger support I'm watching out for is FY. How many times does he have to defensively swap as opposed to aggressively swap? Blink Dagger is now
pretty much
up
every
for the
time.
Ember too. It's just a sad thing, right? Because like the only way they really top Team Secret is by getting a kill on either the SF or the Chaos Knight, and the only way to do that is by dragging him out of range of the Abaddon.
Yeah, but SF has BKB, so you can't really go on them. And Chaos Knight also has
Hager's
BKB.
just timed out. The jump forward, aggressive, able to get that BKB off with the 2-second stun onto RTK. There's that swap again from FY, pulling back the Omni Knight. They have to trigger up the shrine, but the force is in there from Team Secret, looking to push into the melee racks. RTK just goes in. 3-second stun on him. Aggressive. The damage output is not too bad, but then again, it's just not enough. Team Secret is so far ahead in this game. They just don't have the power. A quick push in. It's actually mid one going for it with his Hurricane Pike, trying to kill off FY. One more attack will do the job. More bounty rolling his way, and with the relocate out, they don't even get the kill on that front. It's RTK stunned up, an ultra kill for mid one. He just reset, repushed, and rampaging through everything VG.J offers. Will it be a double? No, it won't. MP will take it on a B-stick of life, and they're going for the GG push, and rightly so. VG.J have nothing left in the tank to defend that.
MMR wins games. Mid one. Jeez. Got first blood and just came right back and killed him after second kill. But I mean, he didn't have an easy time. He didn't have a West babysitting him. He didn't have that many stacks for himself. But look at him. Oh yeah, I destroyed that game.
Just another day at the office, you know. Like, but at the same time, you got to say, like, VG.J, they did show a couple of problems. Like the Ember Spirit hanging around, it was very greedy to go for the farm. Then the top lane as well. You look for that Syrian Chains timing to cancel the Requiem. It didn't end up happening.
they just didn't group up until too late. Like they could have, I think they could have taken down way more towers. I think when they smoked bottom, that was a really good move. But after that, they kind of seemed lost as to what to do. And I also don't think they really addressed Kezu that well. He was forced a lane swap, so he should have been way further behind than he actually was. But they didn't really go for too many kill attempts. They did get a little bit unlucky with that Eclipse, but ROTK probably trying to figure out what he could have done better that game. Was it a draft issue? Was it a play issue? Was it a we didn't do anything in the mid-game issue? I definitely do not think they should have given away Roshan, especially before like any big items came out. I think they had like one BKB on that point at that point,
But as you said, man, they were fearful to fight.
but why? You just have to go for it, man, or else you just get crushed. They just sat inside their base and fed track kills to relocate.
Yeah.
That's also that's not a good option. It's not a good option, Toby.
Yeah. But it wasn't the dream for him. So VG.J, troubling game
0 for 3 on the panel.
is yes. Well done,
No
panel.
faith
Well
in Secret,
done. So
man.
let's throw it back to everyone that was wrong.
Thanks very much, Toby and Malini, with game 1 of the Kiev Major. And what a first game it was for Team Secret. Of course, our experts on the panel went for VG.J.
Great job, everyone.
Based on
job,
the
guys.
draft, it did look like a good VG.J game fold, didn't it? But why did it not work out like that?
I think we were all kind of like touching on it in the other room. The supports having to move around so much really limited the amount of farm that they could get and the impact they could have. And then we also touched on at least the Omni Knight not going for, he went, 4-0-2 build and then went 2 in Repel. Oh, no, he went 4-0-3.
4-0-3,
Then he went 2 in
2
Repel. And then didn't have Guardian Angel. It's like 17 minutes in the game, and that's when Secret was already going for Roche. We're looking at this highlight right here. This one was also huge for Secret when Vici's trying to make like a big aggressive play here, and they end up losing 3 heroes here when they're trying to kill the Shadow Fiend.
And mid one, we talked about his impact. We talked about the fact that he's one of the world's highest rated players right now. There's a reason for that as well, because this man is on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice game from him. It's also what we said. It's the dream of any mid laner, I think, to have the backup of Pilot Eyes IO and to have an Abaddon in the offlane. Like you can really play your hero beyond its regular limits. It allowed him to go for a bit of an unusual item build as well, I would say here, going BKB into the straight Bloodthorn, I think it
I
was.
just got Orchid Scotty.
Only Orchid, right. Orchid and then Scotty, which is very uncommon. There were multiple things in this game that I think Secret did really well and identified some problems that the draft had. For example, Bounty Hunter going Yules, I think was genius. Set up for multiple relocate ganks and gave them the catch they were missing. And then on the flip side, if you look at VG.J, like you mentioned, the Omni Knight, completely disagree with his build. I think in this game you go Guardian Angel earlier. Arguably at least level 8 at the latest, I would say you get it, maybe even level 6. Just look at Secret's lineup, how physical oriented it is. Great spell. We saw a complete mess up from Freeze in the mid lane, just getting solo killed by a Raze out of nowhere from mid one while he had a lane ward. VG.J just didn't seem like they were playing their A game to me. They seemed a bit out of shape in this game, whereas Secret, solid performance from them. I still don't regret choosing VG.J based on draft. I think they got outplayed.
Yeah, I was going to say,
so.
does it come down to that, Ali? Does it come down to the fact that they did make a few small, important mistakes as the game went through?
I honestly think Secret played that game almost perfectly.
Yeah.
It was
And we
very
said they had to, didn't we?
Yeah.
yeah, they had to play around the SF. They had to play very well. I think the fact that they had this Bounty Hunter when they dodged lanes made it very hard for FY and Fenrir to make moves. FY as a player, he's a player who actually really likes to roam from his safe lane to mid and get very high farm when doing that. When you roam from safe lane to mid, you get the pulls, you get the bounty runes. You have a lot more areas you can go. Whereas when you go aggro, your supports tend to get under-leveled a bit, and it's more on your cores to make moves. This team, in my opinion, should play around FY and Fenrir. The other thing is Secret's itemization, particularly in Abaddon, I was very impressed with. He went the damage count. He got Vlad's, he got Solar Crest, and he was just so strong. It was like 11 minutes in, Ember comes to the lane, the solo mid comes to your lane when you're lane swapping as offlaner, and you just hit him. He was like, get out of my lane.
Yeah.
And I was like, please stop.
And Vici's lineup didn't really have any like great like single target like you were mentioning as well before, and that item build like is perfect for that. And then even his last item as well, Aghanims, like that completely redirects all the damage to him. So if they are going for focused, mid one's build too, the BKB as soon as he gets that, they got a massive peak. Like just great item decisions.
The one thing I think we were wrong on about in the draft analysis before the game is that the team fight. Once this Abaddon got eggs, they did not have the damage on Vici at all to deal with this overpowered Shadow Fiend, overfarmed Shadow Fiend
Yeah.
with the Agnos Abaddon.
I think he was kind of overpowered as well.
He
was
was a bit.
Mid one makes that hero look
It does.
overpowered.
Look at him. He's chilled out. He's relaxed right now.
Next, please.
No,
Yeah.
I like that you touched on like the movement from Puppy in that game too. Like just reading the movements and the supports. We didn't get to like look too much, but he did have very aggressive wards to watch those movements. While if you looked at VG, they were mostly playing reactionary Dota
they were.
and going
Yeah.
for those type of like they saw, oh, we see 3 heroes top, let's make a 4-man smoke rotation to go for that kill, and it's kind of like read by Secret already.
Yeah, their support's getting caught out an awful lot as well.
Yeah, and Bounty Hunter punishes that so hard.
Yeah.
And the one thing I think that Puppy does better than anyone as a captain is he does this thing where he outmaneuvers his opponents. You don't really see it in the replays, but if you listen to him when he's commanding his team, he's really good at saying like, oh, move around this way. He'll draw like on the map to go to this area. You'll take a fight on the high ground. Or somehow magically you'll take a fight under your ward. You're like, how? Wow, how did that happen?
Right.
Like, I guess Puppy, like, that's what he does.
Got extra vision.
And you saw it this game.
Yeah.
They would do some really cool things where they would show a Shaofi mid. Fan were like, ooh, I can push out mid. Like, boom, feed a track kill.
Yeah.
And he just outmaneuvers his opponents this game.
Yeah, it's a good start, but it's only 1-0, Synderen. It is a best of 3 after all.
Yeah, I think more than anything going into the next game, VG.J just need to not overthink this game. I don't, like I said before, I don't feel like they need to change much in the draft. They ideally maybe put the safe lane tri-lane instead, like AUI was pointing out, trying to give FY and Fenrir a better game that way and just play their own style. When I think of VG.J, I don't really think of these aggressive tri-lanes. The way you generally utilize aggressive as a carry as well is giving him the safe lane, and then he moves. That's what he did so well in CDEC at TI5. Like, he's an exceptional good carry player at making those moves. Luna isn't the ideal hero for it necessarily, but it's fine if it gets off to a head start. In this game, he's behind the Shadow Fiend the whole game, and the Shadow Fiend has a pretty good hero matchup as well in that sense. So, yeah, I honestly, you shake it off, you go next game, and you stick to your guns, and the way it looked in that draft for me as well, I think the Shadow Fiend caught them off guard. That pick, to me, really made the draft. And if anything, they could consider working around that either by getting rid of the IO or considering a second face ban Shadow Fiend.
Interesting. Okay. We do have a social media questions thread up on Reddit right now. So as they check out the replays right now, we've got a question from Shadow Legends 61. What a great name. What teams do you think will benefit from the Swiss style most? Fogged.
I think we touched on that one a little bit.
A little
earlier,
bit.
Didn't
I think
A
more
little
about who would suffer.
Yeah, who would suffer?
suffer?
Who would
Yeah.
benefit more?
we? The teams who's played the most.
Do you still think it makes no
I-
difference in terms of the form? The fact that it's Swiss rather than groups or round robin, you don't think it makes any difference? You think
No, I
it's
think-
about how many games these teams have played?
I think because they're the most comfortable. I think that they're just so experienced on the way that the game is being played right now. They're most experienced with the patch as well. I think they're not really thinking, like Sin said, you think 80% about yourself, 20% about your opponent. So I think for that situation, like for Swiss, they're not really like, oh, we're worried about who else we're going to play. We're just like, oh, we're playing our game. And Swiss style maybe won't hurt us so much at all.
Okay. How many do you agree? Disagree?
I think the teams that will benefit the most from Swiss Star are the teams that plan to play their own style the most. I mean, I agree with what Fog said, basically. But a team like EG, for example, they might want to learn more from their opponents. Whereas I think a team like Thunderbirds, they generally just try to counterpick their opponents.
Right.
So not playing as many opponents won't hurt them as much.
Okay.
So it's better for a team like Thunderbirds.
What about teams with coaches? Will they benefit from this? Teams with better coaches? Will they benefit
I
from
feel like
best of 3 Swiss?
teams with better coaches will probably always benefit more from having more games, the way I see it. Like if you have more stuff to data mine or to analyze going further, it's better. So I think in any format, having a good coach is obviously an advantage over having no coach.
Of course. But do you think Swiss format in particular will help that?
I think Swiss helps less than round robin does, because in round robin you get to play every single opponent and you get to have tape against them and you get to see them play against all the different styles. But in comparison to GSL, I think Swiss is still better for the coach teams. Yes.
Well, one thing about coaching in Swiss is that if you can't know what your next opponent is to prepare for it, it's a lot harder for a coach to have his full impact. When you know what opponent you have, you'll have a full docket ready on that team. But this one, I mean, you might have notes on 15 teams that are like more general, but you can't fully prepare, update it with like every single pick they've done, find their pattern for all 15 teams. There's just not enough time.
Yeah.
You would have
Especially
to
as the tournament goes on,
Yeah,
presumably, as
exactly.
well, right?
Yeah.
To start with, it's probably quite straightforward, isn't it? You come in on day one, you've got notes on 15, you go, yeah, we kind of know where they're going to go, we kind of understand what they're going to do. After 3 or 4 matches, though, you've got to have studied all of those matches.
I mean, the one thing I will say that's terrifying about Secret is you look at their Dota buff, last game played 1 month ago.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
How does VG.J prepare for a team like this? Whereas you look at these Chinese teams, this is the one disadvantage about playing so many officials, is that they have so much information on you. And I think as the tournament progresses, the experience and the learning from playing all those officials will like show itself more. But for the first games, when you have no information about your opponent, it is hard to draft.
No, absolutely. Especially, I was going to bring that up against Mid 1 as well. When you look at what he's been playing, I mean, the guy's all randoming, right? He's randoming on 9.4K, so that's hard enough anyway to figure out what he's doing when he's solo queuing. But even when he's played him,
just remember, when he randoms a support, he will swap for the mid-hero he wants.
Okay,
I'm just saying.
He played Rubik. He played Rubik.
he did play Rubik the other day.
As a counterpoint, though, he won his 9K game with CM, or like on his way to 9K. He was CM. I watched it. I was like, how did this guy win at 9,000 MMR with Crystal Maiden? He jungled to 5. He killed mid. He killed a safe lane. He killed mid again, and he killed the off lane. I mean, this guy, he's just a good Dota player.
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to, like, you look at his pro games right now. He's top 5 most played. I don't even know if you can get these, but he's top 5 most played right now. Centaur, Darkseer, Beastmaster, Timber Axe.
On mid 1?
Yes.
What? Fix?
No. Since 7.0, those are his top 5. It's insane. Like, what? How do you even ban against him right now?
Centaur?
Yes. I know.
Maybe,
Did I miss the mid Centaur
maybe he
games?
has 2 accounts.
I don't know. Maybe.
2 phone numbers.
Two phone numbers.
He's going to need those phone numbers now. So what do you do against him? And is it all about him? I mean, I know we've built him up and we've said that he's playing fantastically well, and he is. Secrets seem to play around him a lot at the moment, and they certainly did in that first game.
Especially with Shadow Fiend. Well, that's
how Shadow Fiend works.
That's how Shadow. Yeah, that's how.
But honestly, from that game 1, I liked Kezu's play the best. Personally, I thought mid 1 played a fantastic Shadow Fiend, but I thought Kezu made the perfect decisions in that game that sort of elevated his team's play. Mid 1, I don't know, maybe it's because we expected so much from mid 1 coming in.
Right.
And Kezu's more of like, he's good, but you don't talk about him when you talk about Secret as much.
Right.
And his album was just perfect. I love the damage, I love the Vlads, I love the Solar Crest dimension. Just good.
Like you said, though, like everyone on Secret did play
They did
extraordinarily
play
well
well.
that game. They played like the perfect game.
Yeah. You mentioned the Yules on the bounty as well. You really like that?
Yeah, Syndra mentioned that. That was good.
It's always healthy when you can see a team going into a game like that and they understand the weaknesses of their own draft going in, like what it is they need, and that they quickly identify what they need to adjust, both in Kezu's item build and in Puppy's item build. Just shows a very clear game plan and understanding of how to win the game. That's very healthy to see, because the concerns we had with the draft were solved with itemization, basically.
That's like I think that's one of Secret's biggest strong points, though, is their itemization in their games. They always
You
seem
guys
to
are breaking me now. You're going to be like, first you moan that you have to make a prediction before you see the draft. Then you're moaning that you don't see itemization. So what is it now? You want to wait until 20 minutes in before you make a draft prediction on the game?
I didn't say that.
I'm joking, of course. That was the 98th win at a Valve event for Puppy, by the way, which is a record. He's ahead of Universe and Misery, who have 94 and 93
Is
wins.
that games or series?
Games.
Games.
Yeah, games at Valve events. I mean, the last 11 that we've had, including the Kiev Major.
Well, he's going to make 100 now unless he really bombs out.
Yeah, he should be the first player to get it to 100. He's also played the most games alongside Misery, who's got 168. This is actually Puppy's 169th game at a Valve event. This is the very next game.
That's a lot.
That's an incredible career, isn't it?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
There's even been a Valve event he didn't play at, right?
Yep.
He's played at
He's missed at one.
every single but one. Misery has played at all of them, right?
Yes, correct.
So that means if they're on the same amount of games, then Puppy's average performance at the event is
has always
higher.
been better. Yeah, indeed.
Yep.
Yeah, Misery is the only one now. Although we do have we have a unique friend here that also has the record of being every Valve event.
We'll get there.
As a caster, a coach, and a player. That's pretty unique, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who's that?
1437.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm missing one. I wasn't at Boston. That was the first one for me.
Was it?
The streak's over.
Wow. That sucks.
Yeah.
Just the one. There's also Universe as well, who's been at every single Valve event. Not as an active player, though. I think he was a sub at TI1.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. This is close enough. He'll take it, won't he?
Yeah.
But we are just down to 2 players, effectively, then, Misery and Universe now, which is incredible when you think back. But it is over a long period of time now. We're talking 6 years.
That's 6 esports years.
6 esports, correct,
so
which is like 30,
30
real
years.
human years.
Yeah.
So incredibly long careers from all of these players. They are just getting ready to start in Game 2. So let's look forward to that in terms of Game 2. you said not much needs to change in VG.J's drafting, but what